Hello, Matthias.
Hello.
So this is our second session, and what I would like to do is to remind you quickly to remind you and remind myself what we did in the first session, and please add anything that you would like to add or correct or explain. And then we will start reading a relevant text, and we will use that text as a kind of window to other possible meanings. The text is never for us an authority. We owe the text nothing, but it's a starting point. We unpack or unfold meanings that the text helps to show. Okay, so the text, we can use any text that is relevant. So here is what I remember from the first session. I asked you to start with some issue or some topic, and you gave me a description of your tendency to look at new topics, to enjoy the excitement of a new topics. And especially you mentioned, when I asked you for a specific example, you mentioned going away from home to London, you gave the example, and being quite enchanted or quite interested in looking at the lives of people out there. That's the thing that excites you or that you find interesting. And it's a bit similar to your interest in other topics that you also, I would summarize it, but you find yourself an observer that is okay, that there is some imagery, some thought, from fantasies, perhaps what do those people do? How would I encounter them? How would I be like in their place? But it's basically an observer, onlooker from the outside. And for me, that was just one specific situation. We are interested in our counseling, not just in one event. We look at the person as a whole. So this behavior, this outsiders fantasizing or looking at, is only one part of a larger world. And so I ask you, as opposed to what? What happens at home? What happens when you have different kind of relationships? And I think that the theme, certainly not the only theme, but maybe not even the most important, but an important theme in your life, is that of relating to other people with some kind of distance. You find yourself, it's not a rational choice. You find yourself at some kind of distance from others, not sharing very much. And you mentioned several reasons for this which work together. One is you don't want people to step into your space with their dirty shoes. You want your self-control. You want to know what's inside and what's outside. Um, and you also mentioned that that's not the way to behave, just to pour out your feelings and it gets out of hand. And you mentioned also that that's how you were educated, that there is some kind of dignity and self-respect, that you are not just all over the place, you are here. So this emphasizes um, this attitude, a theme in your attitude, which is again one that keeps distance, that is outside other people. You can interact, but up, not too much. Don't step into my world. And if I do sometimes allow you, it's only when it's the proper time to do it and under my control. So this is a kind of the observer. And like every other attitude, it's partly in your control, but in many respects, it's just part of who you are, wherever it comes from. So that's more or less, there were many details, but that's more or less. And I wonder, is this summary, does it resonate with you? Is there something that I'm missing, something you'd like to add?
No, I think this is what we talked about last time.
Now, as I say, usually there are 3, 4 sessions before, so we have a much fuller picture, but that is good enough. So here is what I suggest that we do now, and this is the second step in my counseling. The first counseling, sorry, I'm talking to the viewer now, not to you, to the viewer of the video. The first step is we want to understand the attitude of the person, how the person stands in front of the world, in front of other people, and so on. And that we have a sketch, and then we start reading philosophical texts. That's the real philosophical part. And we will use this, Matthias, as I said before, not as an authority. It's not, the writer is not an authority, but as kind of doors or seeds for self-reflection. Sometimes even we say, no, no, that's not me. That even that helps us to characterize what is me. Okay, so we don't owe anything to the text. We just use it as an entry point. The text that we will use is by Nell Noddings, an American philosopher, usually of education. She's well known for her work on care, on the notion of care. And so we will use that care. It's also about interpersonal relationship. Okay, so care, here she is simply describing in this article what for her, her theory about what care is. I suggest that we start with the first paragraph, and if you don't mind, Matthias, if you can start reading it, and if there is a word or metaphor, expression that strikes you as meaningful or strange or revolting or anything, just share. We are just reading and chatting.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I read the whole paragraph first.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Yeah. Any word or image that touches you?
Yes, it's this the first sentence, feeling with the
Yeah.
other. So when I read this, I was thinking about the difference between sympathy and empathy. So I had the impression that feeling with she's talking is more sympathy, and this analyze and to plan would be more akin to empathy, a more intellectual understanding of the other,
Explain. More intellectual versus.
more emotional. So sympathy here would be what I associate with her feeling with. You are sharing the feelings of the other person.
Mhm.
But empathy, I would connect with the other thing she's describing, where you are understanding the emotion of the other, but more analyzing them. You're not sharing them, you're not feeling with them, but you understand how they are feeling, why they are feeling like they're doing. So it was this difference I saw here.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mention empathy because, like you, she herself says in the fuller paragraph, we are reading just part, she says, I am not talking about empathy.
Hmm.
Empathy is to put myself in the foot in the shoes of another. But I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
And let us try to understand her as she's talking rather than put her under a general title of she's talking about sympathy, because who knows what other people say sympathy. Let me just point out that towards the second part of the article, she says explicitly that she is not talking about feeling as only emotion. Feeling is also intuition. It's a kind of understanding. Okay, but let me read now and point out things that attract me, and then we can talk about it. And I would like to ask you afterwards how some of those concepts have a meaning or don't in your own life, how it resonates with particular situations,
Yeah.
particular experiences in your life. So caring involves, okay, so first of all, we are going to give a general characterization of caring. For the one who cares, okay, it's a feeling with. Right. This is for feeling with. What does it mean, feeling with? I can say feeling about or feeling towards. I feeling with the other. That's intriguing. But she is a quite analytic philosopher, American philosopher, so she's going to explain it. So this is the first enigma, like feeling with. In some sense, if I care for you, I feel with you. Now, is it, by the way, she gives two central characterizations, and one of them is engrossment. Engrossed, to be the English of engross is to be totally into something. So she called it engrossment. What does engrossment mean? I do not put myself in the other shoes, so it's not some kind of mental, oh, I wonder what he's like. If I were in his shoes, this is still an observer from the outside. If I were in your shoes, I would, no, no, I don't put myself in you. It's you that I'm engrossed with, not myself had I been in your situation. So to speak, by analyzing his reality, is objective data and then asking, how would I feel in that situation? No, it's not some kind of projecting myself to you. On the contrary, I set aside my temptation to analyze and plan, imagine, and so on. And look at this amazing expression. I say because she's so non-spiritual. She's so on the factual American kind of modern American philosophy. I receive the other into myself. And when I read this again for the session, I remembered how for you it's a bit revolting to let others come with their dirty shoes into my world. Right? So this is exactly the opposite. It's I receive the other into myself and see and feel. So the emphasis is not just emotion. It's a feel in the sense that yes, I can feel what you feel. Not necessarily I feel bad, but I can see what you feel. And now another amazing expression, which is I become a duality. I'm not just me. I'm in some sense also you. Of course, not in a metaphysical sense, but in some sense, I'm also you. And I'm committed to the receptivity that permits me to see and feel in this way. In the sense that in some sense, some vague sense, I'm also you. The seeing and feeling are mine. I'm still thinking and feeling. Of course, it's my feeling, but only partly and temporary is a loan to me. So your feeling I like loaned to me. I kind of sense, sometimes mistakenly, of course, but I sense what you feel. I sense what you. So it's a kind of you open your boundary. You feel with. You become a duality. You receive the other into yourself. Okay, something like that. Mhm. Now, when you look at your experiences, let's say at work first, anything that strikes you as resonating like or unlike, like the feel with the other, receptivity, and receive the other into myself. Can you bring together your own experience in these expressions?
Well, about colleagues, this is unlike how I react, behave towards them. So with them, it's not this stepping into becoming a duality feeling with. No, it would be more what I call empathy than more intellectual understanding. So this sharing, like she's talking about, is not what I do with acquaintances, with colleagues. No, not at all.
That's fair enough, but let me just suggest, is there some event that you remember, some recent memory that was not fully like that? This is the extreme, but that had a little bit, not the emotion again, but the kind of intuitive understanding. You look at them, sometimes we look at the person, we see the person involved in something, and there is some touching moment that we can
Yeah.
almost share that.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah, I remember with this with some students, not with colleague, but yes. Okay, so this was a student, which is very diligent student, very careful student, wants to yeah to do everything right, and she lost a book, and she said, "This is not what I do. I always take care of my book, but I lost your book." And it was in when she said it, it was. I had the impression that I could share share the sensation of, let's see how I can describe it, that when there was a feeling of sorrow, yeah, which I mean, it's a little detail, it's not a big thing, but there was this sense of tragedy in it. Yeah. Because I don't know how much I projected or how much came from this student, but it was this is not what I do. This is not who I see myself. I'm not the one who loses books. For someone else, losing a book would be nothing. For this student, I had the impression this was a terrible thing, and I could sense this abyss, of having done something morally reprehensible, losing a book. So it was in that few seconds I could, let's say I could step into this person and share the emotion. It has happened a couple of other times as well. It's usually just one little thing. On the surface, it might look like nothing, but for some reason it resonates with me, so I can share it. And most of the times, for some reason, it's this feeling of, I said tragedy. It sounds maybe a bit dramatic, but still something like this. Usually not a feeling of joy. It's usually a feeling of sadness, sorrow, sadness that I can somehow tap into. It can be just based on a comment, on a look, or something like this.
This is a very powerful experience for me. This is a very also a sensitive observation. A psychologist might wonder why only the tragedy and not the, but we are not psychologists. That does interest us. It means to me, and I would like to suggest it to you, that you know what Noddings is talking about. It may not be a very common thing, it may not be every time, but you know what it is to suddenly feel with her. Not necessarily emotionally, as she says, but rather in some kind of intuition. You sense it. You sense it. What does it do to you that actually, you know what, Matthias, you're not just an observer. There are moments, those precious moments, maybe barely visible, not big tragedies of life, but that you are, in a way, in Nodding's way, stepping beyond your boundaries.
Well, well, it's an interesting experience to have this, and yeah, I'm glad that I have these experiences. I'm also glad that it doesn't happen too often because you are losing yourself in a way in this moment. To lose yourself too much in such situations as these, I think would be problematic.
Yeah.
So to have too much of this, I would fear it to lose myself continuously in other people like this because then I have the impression I would just float around, would have no.
Float around.
Yeah, but to have it momentarily, even if it's, let's say, it's a feeling of sadness staring into the abyss, but if it's a moment, yes, it can be an enriching experience. So
Sometimes,
yeah, yeah.
sometimes a moment of experience enriches our life. That's how we don't have rich experiences all the time. We go to the bathroom, we have breakfast, we go to work. That's we cannot expect life to be a total ecstasy. So I think I like the way you say, well, I don't want it all the time, but every once in a while, yeah. And I wonder, let's look more at this experience, the last words in the paragraph of Noddings is as a loan to me. Of course, it's a metaphor. She doesn't think that somebody loaned to her. How would you describe this? Is it the grace, like a metaphor of divine grace, or is it a coincidence, or something that hits me, or what is? How would you describe?
Yeah, I would describe it as a coincidence, a lucky chance. To call it a grace, it would be okay, maybe a little too religious for my tastes, but it's
Sure.
something which I
Mm,
don't think you can seek it. I don't think you can find it if you go looking for it, but it happens.
it
But
happens.
so, but for me, the way I see it, it would be, yeah, a sudden connection that you cannot prepare for, you cannot plan it, but for some reason it happens. Yeah. Because of the, I don't know, the mental or emotional state you're in at the moment when it happens, chance event, coincidence.
So psychologically, maybe there are processes, unconscious processes, but consciously, it just happens, right? And I cannot control it. Is this correct?
Yeah,
So it is like sounds a little strange, but a little bit like a gift, isn't it? Not in the sense that there is somebody who gives you the gift, but something, oh, this was a precious moment.
yeah, yeah, it is in a way. So I think every experience you have, it in a way it enriches your life, both the good ones and the bad ones. Since you didn't steal it, and I wouldn't call it a loan either, since I think it's unconscious. It's not it's not anyone's decision. But yeah, why not? You can call it a gift. It happened, and if you can treat it as a gift, if you can, yeah, take something from it, cherish it in any way you can, then why not? I think you can call it a gift.
And this gift, when it happens, you said cherish, use the word cherish. Does it stay with you in some way? Do you then think about it? Is it in the back of your mind? What happens afterwards with it? Does it make you more connected to the person?
Sometimes it can happen. Sometimes I can have this feeling, and it reminds me that I've had the similar feeling with someone else. So in that case, maybe I don't get more connected to this person, but it's just a reminder of someone else, maybe that I was more connected with. But the cases I can feel more connected to that person. So yes, it sticks for a while. Yeah. When it happens, it stays around for a little bit. It does, yeah.
My own view, you can share it or not, is that many very important experiences in our life are very small. They are not the dramatic one. It's the little tiny gifts, as you call it, that are so valuable. I wonder now if we compare those gift moments, those precious moments, to other moments when you look at a person, maybe the person is also in some kind of distress, another student or a colleague, and it doesn't happen. You are an observer from the outside. Can you describe what is happening there as opposed to those gift moments?
Well, then it would be, yeah, a detached observation. I see what is happening. Maybe I understand what is happening, how the person is feeling, why they are reacting, why the way they are reacting. But myself, I don't feel any attachment to it. It's just an event that I observe.
And I wonder if we transfer it to the London experience that you told me about, that we started with.
Mm.
Where does that stand? Are there such uh, gift moments, or is that not the story?
No, I don't connect it to the London. experience I talked about. So that was more some feeling of intrigue, desire to, or imagination to be someone else living another life. So, but it wasn't this kind of sharing someone else's experiences. No.
I see that there is a lot of fascination with the world beyond my boundary, whether it's a kind of London experience that you're or observer. You're fascinated intellectually, you look at it intellectually, and at the same time there's this distance also, this constant distance with colleagues, and yet those moments of gift where suddenly a door opens, small door, and there is another thing happening. So it's a major theme. It's an important theme. I don't know, we didn't talk enough how big a theme in your life, but it looks like a theme in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. Yes. So, as far as I can remember, as far back as I can remember, yes, I've been attracted to the otherness, what is foreign to me, what is strange to me. It's intriguing. Um, yes. And I think it's connected, this attraction and repulsion. You're attracted to what is foreign to you, to what is alien to you, but in this foreignness, there is also a bit of insecurity. And, the attraction is connected to the fear. What is this strange thing? What will happen? But if it felt completely safe, I guess there would be no attraction. So it's this dual feeling, this tension between attraction and not knowing what is going on here. So yeah, I think this is a current theme to feel this lure of the exotic, the other.
And is it possible that the story of your life is not how to resolve it, but this constant being in between? That's Matthias, this one foot here with a hoped for foot there. Some kind of the lure, the temptation, the fantasy, and also the distance. The don't get into my room. I want my self-control. I don't want to be the kind of person who just pours out everything. So that is what repeats in your life, not one or the other. Am I correct? Kind of tension between those two poles. This is a story. It's not a story that awaits to be resolved one and for all. And now Matthias would just be with everybody, or would just go and be the solitary monk on a mountain. That's the source that gives both difficulties and treasures to your life. That's where the field of the game is, so to speak. Is that a possibility for you? Is that a poss
Yes. Um, I
I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just presenting a possibility.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think what you're describing has been the case, yeah, much of my life.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that in terms of Plato's cave, which is my terminology for saying the kind of strict, rigid, automatic tendency that narrows us, that you feel yourself a little bit too much here and you would like to move a little bit, to open the cave a little bit towards the interactive, the togetherness.
Yeah,
So here is an interesting paragraph because it's very specific. It's an example. It's an example that starts with a story, and then there's some thoughts about it in this paragraph. Uh, maybe you could read it yourself, but just before you read and comment on where it touched you, maybe you can just say, is there anything that impressed you, that touched you? Again, touched, I like her. Say it's touched is not necessarily emotional. It's there's something that intrigues me, that means something to me. Anything like that?
It is the last part here. Um, Both, or first, is have been invaded by this other, which I think makes sense because it happens without your conscious will. You didn't invite this moment. This just happened, and so yeah, in a way, it is an invasion because someone someone steps into you more than I'm stepping into him or her. It's like they are stepping into me.
Mhm.
That's what it feels like. So in a way, it is an invasion.
When I hear invaded by him, there's something in me that also, it feels a bit odd. I don't know if I want anybody to invade me. Do you have this dual feeling too?
Yeah, because it's not. I say it's not fundamentally a pleasant feeling. It can be, like I said, enriching, rewarding, maybe in retrospect, but when it happens, it's like can be like an invasion. Yeah, someone touches you inside. It's an invasion, which has negative connotations, and I think there's some negative feeling connected to it that unwillingly they, stepped inside of you. So I think it can make sense to describe it like this.
It seems to me that maybe Noddings, who is sitting with us and listening, is saying something. Okay, Matthias, you want a little to be a little bit more open to others, to allow yourself a little bit to be invaded by others. Is that possible that she is saying this to you?
Yeah, it's possible that's what she's saying. Yes. So then I don't know if it's possible to facilitate it. If it's possible, like nodding seems to suggest that you can open yourself to it and it will
Is
happen.
it possible? Mhm. I'm sorry.
No,
Is
no,
it possible negatively that if I'm very self-controlled, then when there is a promise, I block it. So I learn to stop blocking it from when it comes.
yeah, it's possible. Yes, yes.
So it seems a possibility to think about that maybe your attitude, that of self-control, that of feeling revulsion for other people stepping in, that maybe as long as you hold on to the self-control, observer attitude, that's part of the package. Part of the package is part of the deal is that you're distant, that you're not letting this it's as if you want to remain yourself, to remain individual, distant, and at the same time to have relations. Sorry, says Noddings. That doesn't go together. Something like that.
Yeah. Yes, yes, it makes sense. It's, I think, the same tension we were talking about, wanting and
Yeah.
not wanting,
Yeah.
desiring, but at the same time refusing.
Yeah. Well, so I think we kind of brought it together into this major theme and the pluses and minuses and so on. There is a lot more to do with it, and especially working more on what I call the third stage, which is to sense, to feel the other possibilities, which is something that we also did a bit. Now, I believe, according to my approach, that the more we sense those little moments and we know what it is like, the more we can change ourselves. You cannot change yourself from here. You have to feel what it is like. And so if you look at a specific moment, you know, aha, that's what it is. Let us stop here, if it's okay with you. Is there something that you would like to say about the general very partial process that we had about your feeling now or during the session. Anything that you want to say in general about the process?
Yeah, these two things, finding a theme, yeah, like this is one of the major themes, and then use philosophical ideas to say how does it resonate with you, but what does it tell you about your theme? So to have a conversation with the text and discuss the
Love
text.
your expression. I love your expression conversation with the text.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then you also argue with the text. And yeah, no, what you describe here, it doesn't resonate with me. I refuse it. Okay, let me look at it from another perspective. I'm not going to take it wholesale, just buy the whole
But
package. But okay, fine. One minute a week. Okay, then it can give me something.
I I think you described it well. At the first stage, which we did very quickly, we identified an important theme. I mean, me, don't understand it. We didn't put it on the table in its fullness, but we certainly put our finger on it. Um, that many events revolve around. Theme means that events revolve around it. It's not one single pattern, but it's the main topic. We identified that. That was the first stage. The second stage, we try to enrich it. And the thing is that our experiences are usually very compressed in our understanding. We have titles. We say, oh, I felt bad. What does it mean bad? I felt lonely. What does it mean? There are many more meanings. In conversing with a deep text, that's a deep text for these. Why philosophical text? Why not an article from the newspaper? Because these are fundamental to our being, to who we are. That's philosophy. Philosophy is about the foundation, the basic dimensions, the basic divisions, the basic concepts. I call it voices of life. This is close to the voice of life, uh, of the many voices of life that speaks really our fundamental reality. Thank you, Matthias.
Thank you. Thank you.